teens are so digitally native already, right? They spend a lot more time than even when I was in high school on their phones, in video games, in digital environments. And so digitally native currency, I think, is is a much more natural thing for them than it even is for.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Richer Geek Podcast. Today, I am pleased to discuss all things crypto and a very interesting take on crypto and dealing with children. This is Will Rush, who's the CEO and founder of Stack. How you doing, Will?
Great. Thanks so much for having me, Mike.
So this is very interesting. I think a lot of us have children. God forbid anyone younger than me ask me about crypto, because I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't exist. I have no idea. There's a bunch of people that I don't know what mining is. They're digging in the ground, doing something, and they're coming up with crypto. So, I have no idea what it is. So explain to us a little bit. It's very interesting. It's an investing platform designed to make all of this approachable and understandable to teens. And I guess that's who we want to get to know, right? Because they're the upcoming generation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so I've spent, the last 12 years of my career in some field of the securities industry. So I worked with Robinhood and Charles Schwab and E-Trade and TD Ameritrade and a lot of businesses like that. And so a lot of them have custodial products, which is what the custodial meaning under 18 products. And really that's for tax advantages. A lot of parents want to, put investments aside for their kids, and they don't have to be under their tax rate, and they can, even be tax free if they're under a certain threshold. And so, knowing that world has sort of changed in the last 3 to 5 years, I worked most recently with a company called Copper, and Copper was building a banking and stock trading platform that really was for teens first, meaning that instead of just putting, as a parent, an investment aside for a few years and waiting until your kid turned 18 and giving it to them so that they could go pay for college or house or something else, they said, what if we could get them on the platform as actual users, and we could actually educate them, and they could, make decisions financially that their parents were sitting in the passenger seat for. And so it was a really great product. We let kids graduate high school with a 780 credit score. We helped them reach savings goals for college and cars and all sorts of things. And then as I was, creating the thesis for what our investing product really was going to be, it was very clear. We actually would run A/B tests on social media. We would change one word, stock, to crypto. We would get 5 times the engagement. And it was just very clear that teens were much more curious and interested and willing to think about a crypto account before they were a stock account. And then we would see horror stories on Reddit of kids actually getting locked out of a Coinbase account because they had used their parents' details or driver's license to go hack their way in. And Coinbase's software was good enough to recognize that it wasn't the parents that were actually controlling the account. And so we said, let's go be the good guys. Let's go take on this kind of crazy Web3 crypto world, and be the first ones to create the teen product for it.
Why do you think the kids are so much more interested in crypto than stock? Are they saying, well, stock's what grandma and grandpa did, my parents, crypto, is that what they're thinking? Or why crypto instead of stock?
I think there's probably 2 things we got it. One is exponential returns, right? I mean, regardless of how you feel about crypto, there is a thought behind it that if you invest in it, there is a potential for exponential returns, maybe more than stock or other investment vehicles. Whether that actually happens, of course, is a huge question. But that is part of, I think, the zeitgeist and curiosity behind it. And then I think number 2 is teens are so digitally native already, right? They spend a lot more time than even when I was in high school on their phones, in video games, in digital environments. And so digitally native currency, I think, is a much more natural thing for them than it even is for, my generation of millennials or generations above me too.
So if, as a parent, and I wanted to get my kid involved in crypto, talk about there has to be something in my like co-signing things, or because they're under 18. What kind of explain the process for our listeners out there, that how they might get their children into crypto?
Yeah, so there's something, in order to have an under 18-year-old attached to a financial product, you have to have something called UTMA authorization, and that's the Uniform Transfer to Minors Act. And really what that allows you to do as a parent is capture some tax advantages, on the account, but then you also do cosign. And so that means that while your kid's under 18, you have the overending authority on the account. And so you can say, I want to approve every transaction. I want to let my kid, have the keys, and I'll just kind of sit on the sidelines or anywhere in between. You can say like, hey, maybe I want to review things over $50 in case something, someone's making a big trade or something.
Yeah. Or if it hits $5 million, you could say, hey, thanks, kid.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the cool part of it is that what happens at 18 is we then transition it into the minor's name. And so it's a really cool way to bequeath money to your child, like other than a trust or something else. And it's really for anybody, right? You can do $50. There is no dollar limit. We're not charging you a big AUM fee for setting up some big investment vehicle. And so it's a sort of a price sensitive way to effectively give money to a kid and not just have it sit in a bank account and lose value due to inflation, over that time.
So let's talk about all things STAC and how wonderful it is for, someone to sit there and it's like, that it really makes sense that my child should own some crypto, even though I don't understand it. But you're giving them, well, I'll shut up and just tell us a little bit about what STAC is and how it teaches the kids all things crypto.
Yeah, so we do a couple of things on our platform. One is we've made top-end decisions about our platform to make it a closed ecosystem. And so in decentralized finance, it's a very unpopular business model, right? It's almost like it's not necessarily DeFi, it's more centralized finance, meaning by creating this closed ecosystem, we close off 99% of all fraud that happens in crypto on our platform. And how we do that is we actually don't allow crypto on and off ramps. And that's the number one way that most fraudulent activity happens. Maybe somebody, on Discord or on the internet tells you, hey, give me access, send me your wallet address, and is pretending to look like your parent or pretending to look like your friend or something, so that you send them money and then you lose all your money. So all of that is not allowed in our platform at all. And so we've been really thoughtful about just the security aspect of putting kids and parents on this platform. And then the second thing that we really focused on is how do we educate? How do we make education something that kids will actually engage in? And so that comes down to one, content, creating content that we think is native for teenagers. And so it looks a little bit more like a social media feed than like, just like quiz questions or something. And then number two is we actually double down by rewarding them for every, like every module that they fulfill on our platform with a small amount of crypto. And so we actually help them build wealth by giving them free crypto for educating themselves. And so a way that a parent can think about it is they pay to be on our platform monthly, but they essentially get the platform for free in crypto rewards if their kid is actually educating themselves on it.
It's fantastic. And everybody, I know it's like, okay, STAC, what is it? It's the website's trystack.io. So don't try .com.org. It's trystack.io. I think it's really fascinating, and it's about time that I think it was only a matter of time that these people like yourself and people that are developing these things start targeting and I shouldn't say target, educating children, because I think there's just a huge discrepancy right now of the 20 somethings, the mid 20s and 30s. They're just in financial ruin. They just, they don't know how to do anything outside of their little bubble that they've been in all their lives. They get out in the real world and they don't know anything. So, really kudos for what you're doing. Now, how do you
appreciate that?
What are the differences? Well, I see it all the time. I talk to these 20-some-year-olds and they know nothing about the real world. It seems like, not all of them, but a lot of them that I talk to. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the future of our planet. All they care about, and they care about some really good things, the earth and some of these things, but real world stuff outside of saving the environment, they don't know anything. So don't get me started. Okay, that's enough of that. So back on this. Thank you for doing this. Hopefully it'll millions of kids will sign up, and this will be wonderful. Now, how do you stack up? We're talking about Robinhood. Coinbase is another thing. How do you compare to those? Because I think people have heard of Robinhood. Some of the ones they're I don't know if they've been out there longer or they just have larger marketing. How do you stack up, and what's the differences between you and them?
Yeah, well, I mean, Robinhood was kind of born out of the last financial crisis, the 2008 financial crisis. They've been around for obviously a really long time. Coinbase has been around for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're an 18-month-old business, so we're obviously just much greener than them. What makes us different is a couple of things. One is they're not authorized for UTMA accounts, and so you actually can't be an under 18-year-old on their platform. They cater to a young audience, both of them, but they usually specialize in like the 18 to 29 segment predominantly. Whereas of course we're like 13 to 17.
Mm-hmm.
And so just based on that one difference, like just legally, we are a legal platform for teenagers to be on. And, people are living above the law by being 15 and being on Coinbase or Robinhood. And then number two is how we conduct business. And so this comes down to the business model. How are you making money? Coinbase and Robinhood are volume-driven businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so very unsurprisingly, what they show you the second that you show up to their app is a one-day trading chart. They show you like, what is Amazon stock done in this one day? And that's because they want you to trade every day that you're on the platform, because that's how they make money. They make money the more you trade. We are completely the opposite business model, where we are totally agnostic, and we actually teach on our platform a long-term investing approach. And we double down on that through our revenue model. And that's, again, our subscription fees that a parent pays per month for their kid to be on. And we're starting off at $1 a month. So it's very, very affordable. And really all that's about is making sure that we have a way to make money that's not tied to forcing someone to want to day trade, because we don't think that that's a successful strategy. We don't think that that's something that we should be educating, youth on. Certainly, it doesn't mean that day trading is a fully bad thing, but it's definitely not where you should start with the investing market.
Yeah. 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds don't need to be doing something like that every day. They need to be concentrating on some other things. You had mentioned a little bit about the UTMA tax advantages. For someone that has no idea what that is, what are some of those advantages?
Yeah, so there's a threshold that the IRS comes out with every year. The threshold for 2022 is $2,300. And so that means if you recognize $2,300 or less in gains for your child in that given year, you actually don't even have to file a tax report, because there's no taxable income under that threshold. Once they go above that threshold, I think the IRS has taken the approach that, they probably have a pretty high net worth parent. And it could even be just a parent pretending, to capture some tax-free money for their child. And that's when you actually have to file a tax form and do other things.
Mm-hmm.
But assuming that it's under that threshold, it just means that we keep money in children's wallets. Meaning you put $100 on the platform, maybe you double it, and you have now $200. You keep 100% of that $200. Doesn't go to the government, doesn't go to us.
So what does go to you? Just that monthly fee, or is there
that monthly subscription fee? And we actually are operating, so you get the first 12 months of our platform entirely free if you sign up in the next 6 months. And so our early users will be able to test out the platform, see if they like it, see if they don't like it. And if they don't like it, they can, get out of the platform before they even spend $1.
Well, I mean, that's fantastic. Hear that, everyone? It doesn't even cost you anything. Get on it. Trystack.io. Get going, because why not? What's the worst thing that can happen? You're educating your child on crypto. They make some money. That's the worst thing.
Totally.
So why not?
I think about myself in high school, and I learned the hard way, as probably a lot of us did. We learned by messing up and making mistakes. And I made mistakes as a young professional when I had a couple $1,000s that I was saving. And that's a tough mistake to make. But if you could make mistakes with $20 or $50, that you're doing in high school, you'll just be a much more educated financial person, an investor, all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. Now, for us grown-ups, can we also learn? Do we have access to that learning content, or is it just for the child?
You have the exact same access. Not only do you have the same access, but you actually can contribute. You can get free crypto for your child for educating yourself too. And so it's kind of a fun pairing process. We did a lot of user testing in the early days, and we actually learned that parents wanted to educate themselves with their child. And, we're using our platform as an opportunity for them to get crypto educated along with their child's. And so I think that's become a really cool kind of camaraderie between a child and their parent, both being on our platform, both educating themselves.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that I can just see it now that, the child saying, Dad, what are you dumb? This is what crypto's all about. And this is, then now there's this little, oh yeah, well, I'm going to start learning, to see if I can stump the kid. But I think it's why not sit down with your children and learn at the same time about what all this crypto stuff is all about. And talking about today, do you think crypto's in the news a lot? It really is. Do you think it's a correction? Do you think it's coming down? Yeah. What's your personal take?
I mean, my personal take on crypto, so I'll say this as a truly securities person, right? I come from a long career in securities. And so I'm probably one of the more old school thought patterns in the crypto world. I think that there's a lot of really good things about crypto when you just consider the technology, right? You can say, what was Bitcoin, made to be? Bitcoin was made to be this universal way to move money faster and cheaper at the end of the day, right? Like just very simply. And there was a huge data problem in finance. Everybody had created these closed ecosystems that made when you want to move your money from Bank of America bank account to Charles Schwab investing account so that you can go put money in the stock market or whatever. It takes 3 to 5 days to do it. You get charged a fee every time you do it. And so if you could have a way to move money across ecosystems really naturally and pay a fraction of whatever, a bank was going to charge you, that's the beauty, I think, of it. It's gotten into this very convoluted world, right? Of some bad actors, some businesses that, preach being one thing and they end up being a totally other thing. And then everybody realizes it and loses a bunch of money. And I think those are the tough stories, right? Those are the two different sides of the coin. I think everybody should have a little bit of cryptocurrency in their portfolio, full stop. I think it is something that, I challenge myself personally as a, mid-30 something person, saying, if I'm not trying out new things, then I'll start becoming a dinosaur, and I'll stop, like knowing about the world around me. And I think there's some part of just embracing crypto, even at a small amount, so that you can understand it, so that you can see, how the ecosystem works. Doesn't mean you have to be an evangelizer, and you definitely should not have 100% of your portfolio in crypto.
Right. No, I believe in diversification. Absolutely. And I think that crypto is even coming, a little, because it's coming down and we're seeing some bottoming out. If you go old school like me, I'm like going, okay, now might be the time to buy. That's how I buy real estate. That's how I buy all these other things. It's, you buy low and when the last recession, and depression was happened. And that's when a lot of people made money because people panicked. They sold, everything came down, and people like us were like going, okay, because it will go back up.
Now it's time to get in.
Now it's time to get in because it will recover. It always does. Now,
I think it will. I think it will, truly. I think that the market will recover. And I think that what's going to make it recover is the unsexy things that a lot of crypto evangelists actually don't like regulation, it being adopted by mainstream brands and companies and things like that. And there's a lot of good in that, truly.
Yeah, there is. It gets rid of, these bad actors that you're talking about. Now, do you have it in your platform, or is there a way for us to learn who are some of the bad actors? How do I know that when I'm investing that this company even exists?
Yeah. So what we do is we do two things there. One is top of the funnel decisions, meaning what do we actually give you access to on the platform? And so making thoughtful decisions there. I mean, we only have 5 coins on our platform, and that's because these 5 coins, the level of volume that they have, and also our beliefs of the technology that's actually under the hood and the use cases for it, we feel strongly enough that they're probably the 5 best players in crypto, if you will. And so just like allowing access to the right things, I think, is kind of step one. Step two then becomes a lot about the education portal. And so we actually do have a section of education on fraud schemes. We actually challenge you to understand. I mean, the like 30,000 foot view of crypto fraud is the weaknesses in the user, right? It's in you. You are the one that most often is tricked into sending your money somewhere, or being duped, or being subject to a phishing attack or something else. And so we try to educate on what those look like and almost keep them very current in the current fraud schemes that are happening, so that can be part of the education that you build.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, because that would be my worry. It's like, I've never heard of any of these companies. So, okay, this one has a sexy name, and what are those logos that, the dog and the different artwork that's on these coins.
Yep.
Doge coins and things like that. I was like, that's a cool looking little dog. So that's how much I know about this stuff. I need to dig into it more. Talk to us a little bit about when someone signs up. What are these games or these worksheets, and what is that experience like? How surreal are they? Are they worksheets, or are they games? How do you teach?
Yeah, we actually, what we've realized is that the number one educational medium for 13 to 17-year-olds is YouTube, probably unsurprisingly. They educate themselves through YouTube videos. And so if we could create short form video content that was educational, and then follow it up almost with a challenge to each video, that's basically what our content looks like. It's video content that gets released. You get 5 challenges every day. And so every day a new set of 5 challenges unlocks. You watch a 30-second video that's supposed to teach you one thing, and then you basically answer a question about that one thing to make sure that you retained it. And every time you get one of those things right, you get a little bit of free crypto every time. There's some future things that are in the works of just like, decoding a 15 or 16-year-old's brain, and like thinking about the psychology of what's their attention span, what's the sweet spot, of how long we can keep them on the platform, and educate them that we don't start having them trail off, and do a little bit at a time. And so we're getting smarter, I think, with that every day, but we'll continue to be dynamic on creating good content.
Well, I tell you, if you can decode the teenager's mind, you'll just make billions. That's that alone. So, okay, what if I have more than one child?
So you can have multiple children on the platform. You manage them from one parent account. And basically at the top of the app, you can imagine a drop down that you just pick which child's account you want to check into. You can see their educational progress. You can see how their, gains or losses on each coin. And then one of the other things that I think we've really leaned to in our platform is we only show you lifetime gains and losses. And that's, again, being very intentional about the long-term investing approach. And saying to kids, like, this is really about getting in the habit of saving a little bit of money, whatever you want to save every month or every quarter or whatever it is, putting it somewhere that's going to outpace inflation, and letting it sit there, because you have an investment horizon that I wish I started investing, when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. And I also wish that I put my idle cash in an investing account more often, because I just have more money. And so getting in that habit earlier, I think is really the number one behavior that we're trying to instill.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like, yes. if someone, because when I was that age, it's like, yeah, I could have gotten in on, Amazon when it first started, and Google when it first started, Berkshire Hathaway when it was. I mean, it's like, my God, if I just knew, if I had someone to teach me, it would have been just wonderful. Now, I'm on your website, and something is interesting. Talk to me a little bit about the entrepreneur community.
Yeah. So the entrepreneur community is predominantly made up of student investment clubs, sometimes they finance clubs. And usually the president of that's like high school investment club or whatever it is joins that community that we have. We have a little over 150 now. We call them ambassadors. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they actually bring us into their high school and we put on a financial literacy workshop. No strings attached. There's no, they don't pay us for it. Usually there is a user output that some kids naturally want to sign up for our platform by, meeting our company. But the intention there is if Stack fails, the company goes nowhere. We do nothing special. The number one thing that I will walk away from all of this with a really full heart is that we've shown up to hundreds of high schools and we've taught some level of personal finance. And so that's the most special thing I think that we do. And we start with like really, really basics. It's stuff like everybody tells you to get a good job and go eat ramen noodles and save as much as you can. Mm-hmm. And that's really not how you produce income. How you produce income is diversifying your income streams. It's having more than one place that you're making money, is by getting in the habit of moving your money in the right places and doing it earlier in your life so that you have a longer investment horizon. And then demystifying the fact that to be a good investor, you actually don't have to, know the entire stock market world and be a day trader on Wall Street bets or something. I think there's this like demystification that needs to happen that says the S&P 500 index outperforms 95% of hedge funds every year, right? And these are people. Hedge funds are people that spend 40-year careers trying to figure out the stock market, and they get outperformed by one investment vehicle that you could put all your money in tomorrow, and you'd outperform most of them. And so just teaching the simplicity of making small decisions and intentional decisions, that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I think it's just so wonderful. And I appreciate your time. It's been eye-opening for me. I'm definitely going to check it out. And everyone, again, it's free for the next 6 months, or by the time this comes on for the next, several months. Why not? Try it out at tristack.io. It even says it TriStack. So anything else that I've missed that you want to get out there about this wonderful platform that you guys have?
No, I think that's it. Like, if there's any listeners that have high school kids, they're conscientious that want to join the entrepreneur community, certainly have them sign up. I think it's a cool way to like boost your college resume or just get some professional experience too. Yeah. And then beyond that, check out the platform. There's no strings attached. Again, you can come on, check it out, take your money off anytime you want. And really enjoyed being here. Thanks so much for having me.
Sure. And where else can people find you other than tristack.io?
They can find me personally on LinkedIn. That's probably the medium that I'm the most active on. And I'm just LinkedIn/Will-Rush. So super simple. And then, you can follow us. We're unsurprisingly on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, a lot of the kind of socials that teenagers are on mostly. But you can be sure to check us out there too.
Perfect. Will, thank you so much. And everybody, try it again, tristack.io. Thank you for coming on, Will.
Thanks, Mike.